Welcome to MJ's Art Law. Hi, I'm MJ Hancock, and we're back on MJ's Art Law, and we are talking to book authors tonight about how to get published and how to get your book out there and marketed it. And our next guest is the author of The Art of Conscious Evolution. Which camera do I need to show it to? Right here? I want you to zoom in because I want you to see that beautiful purple swirl of paint? That is actually a painting representation of the art of the book author that's here tonight. This is Peggy Sue Skipper. Peggy Sue, thank you for being my guest tonight.
I'm just pleased to be here.
I am very excited about having you here because this is actually a spiritual painting. You had a spiritual reading of this painting.
It is. It's a soul painting by a visionary artist by the name of Rosie Lazeri, who just does fabulous work. She's been around a long time. I'm sure a lot of people in Houston especially know her. But she does, she paints your soul. And it's oil on canvas. And then she does an auto writing with each painting, if it's remote, and tells you what it means. So it was my only choice for the cover of my book. I kind of put myself on the cover without really putting my picture on.
Without putting your picture on the cover. Well, that's what drew me to the book. And talk about how important it is for the cover to draw someone. Your cover drew me to your book. And then I found out what the content is. But you come out of corporate America.
I do.
And then you somehow got an opportunity to have a hand analysis done. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I went to a party, a hand analysis party, and I was invited by friends, sort of went on a lark. And it just blew me away. And it began a big change in my life.
And the reading was done by Richard Unger. I read that in your book. And you actually put the transcript in your book to explain what someone could anticipate.
I did. I put it in there because I think oftentimes people don't know what to expect. And when they hear readings or sessions, especially if it has kind of a spiritual bent to
it,
they're confused. They don't really know what to expect. So I thought maybe a transcription would give them a good idea of the type of information they're going to get.
Well, what is the difference between a palm reader and a palm analyst, a hand analyst like you're doing?
Good question. The way I describe it in the book is palmistry is generally about what's happened to you in the past and what's going to happen to you in the future. It's sort of a prediction tool. Hand analysis is more about who you are as a person.
Okay.
We're going to talk about your life purpose. What are you here on the planet to do? And your life lesson. What are you here to learn? And I just think it's easier to do a good job of your life if you know what your job is.
What you're supposed to be doing here.
Right.
Well, you mentioned that fingerprints never change.
Right.
So that's why we get fingerprinted by the FBI or whatnot.
Exactly.
And fingerprints never change.
Fingerprints never change, and it's the only thing on your hand that doesn't change. Everything else that changes.
Interesting.
And you can prove it. You can take your handprints and look at them 2 and 3 years later, and if you as a person evolve, which everybody does, right?
Yes.
Then your hands change as well, some more than others.
Okay, so you're in corporate America, you get this hand analysis done by Richard Unger, and then you start pursuing it to become a hand analyst also.
Right. I started studying with him, and I did that for a couple of years before I took the leap out of the corporate world.
Yes.
To start reading hands. And
then how did the book come about?
Well, what happened was over time I had people coming back to me and saying, I hear you, I understand what you're saying, it resonates with me. I don't know how to get there from where I am now.
Okay.
So I started working with them and sort of began coaching them and guiding them into the process that was right for their life. And eventually there was a formula that came up. It was a little bit different with each client, but there was a core formula that was the same with each of them. You know, do this every day. And so I started putting that in writing, and then the book sort of evolved out of that.
Well, what I noticed also about the book is you have a website there, but you don't have a price on it. How do you go about getting this into the public's hand? How do you get the book out there?
Most of my sales are back of the room when I do presentations.
So you do a presentation in a room, and then you have the book in the room.
That's correct.
And people, okay.
Or I go to bookstores, usually independently owned bookstores, or any kind of presentation. I may speak to any kind of group.
Okay.
There are some privately owned bookstores and shops that carry my book around the country. Those are listed on my website. And
what is your website?
It's www.zappolutions.com.
Zappolutions.
Zappolutions. It's like solutions with zap in the front.
Zappolutions.
It's speedy solutions and evolutions.
Okay. Okay. So now you're a full-time hand analyst.
I am.
And you actually have a clientele that comes to you to grow into what it is they were put here to do on this planet.
That just thrills me. That gets me in my proper process, watching people truly become the brightest versions of themselves.
Was that your work, your life's work?
Absolutely. I'm a spiritual teacher by life purpose.
And as far as discovery, it occurred within the last decade for yourself?
It did. Well, so
you kind of always knew. I mean, you talk about that in the book. You say that you kind of had these gifts, the senator's wife syndrome,
right.
The woman that gets behind the man and makes
right.
a man.
Right.
You talk about this. You had the gifts, but you didn't know how to develop the gifts.
Right. Exactly. So through self-discovery, and one of the things I say in the book is get as much information as you can.
Yes.
Don't just take my word for it. There are other ways that you can learn this information, and it's all the same.
Uh-huh.
I have clients that come to me and say, that's the same thing my astrologer told me. Well, no kidding. It's your stuff. So the more information you get from different sources, you get 4 or 5 different people telling you the same thing.
Yes.
It's time to pay attention. Don't you think?
Yes, I agree. I agree. So if someone were to come to you, what's the process if they want to get their hand analyzed? What's the process?
Well, they come into my office. I explain to them a little bit about what I do. Look at the fingerprints first,
okay.
And then look at the total hand. I'm actually an intuitive hand analyst, so my sessions are a little bit different with each client. Some are more reading the hands, some are more intuitive, some are just more discussion. It just depends on where they are in their process.
I see.
My goal is to help people understand, first of all, whether or not they're already in their process, because some people are, and it's just nice to know that. It's like, relax, you're doing a great job with your life. Just keep the flow going.
Okay.
And maybe they're a little off kilter, so we'll adjust that.
And how long would someone need to see you? Is this like therapy, like going to a therapist?
Well, I'm not a therapist.
Okay.
I do send some of my clients to therapists.
Uh-huh.
I'm more about, okay, forget what happened to you in the past.
All right.
Let's talk about what your core self is.
Okay.
And how we go from here toward that.
And then how long does a client normally stay with you?
Oh, I have people that come for one reading.
Really?
I have people that come every year on their birthday,
uh-huh.
To see how they're doing. And then I have people that do a 6-week class with me or a 6-week session with me. I'm once a week, and then emails every day. That's the coaching.
And then I read in here that there's a cruise that you went on where there was a spiritual cruise.
Every year. I work with the Intuitive Visions group out of New York,
uh-huh.
and it's called the Psychic and Spiritual Healing Cruise. And this year I'm thrilled because it's the first year I'm actually going to do my Conscious Evolution workshop on the cruise ship. It'll be 6 hours total over the week, and it's for people who really want to get into their proper process.
What would a student expect if they came into that room?
I'm going to kick their butt till they do it right.
What will that kicking of my butt look like? I'm fascinated because I know what therapy is. I know what that looks like. I know what group therapy is. But I just didn't realize that the hand was so important to what your work is here on Earth.
Well, it truly, truly is. And in the workshop, what we do is we take your information and then we set up goals.
Yes.
For you. And, goals are good to have, right? But you structure the goals to support your life purpose and to work on your life lesson. Because I call these things the life purpose, the good news.
Uh-huh.
These are your talents, the things that are great about you, the things that are easy for you. So you need to know what those are. And then your life lesson, I call that the better news, because this is the stuff that isn't easy for you. But if you don't get better at it, then it tends to trip you up in your life.
I see.
So you got to work on it.
So what if somebody hit your website on the internet, would they be able to learn more about what it is that you do?
Absolutely.
Okay, all right. I'm completely fascinated by it. The book cover is what caught my eye. Once again, I just want the camera to look at the book cover because this purple figure is actually Peggy Sue Skipper, and it's amazing what the spiritual reader said about this. She has a letter in here explaining what this cover is, but there's this little white angel over here that's actually a very strong part of Peggy Sue's life. It's a really fascinating book. So I am thanking you so much. I just met you at the American Book Cooperative Mixer this week, and I was fascinated by you, and I wanted an opportunity to get your message out there because it's awesome.
Well, it has been such a pleasure meeting you.
Thank